you had your man Brian Vera in a big fight, the rematch against Julio Cesar Chavez. It didn't go out as planned. Tell me about that fight.
Well, Brian, he fought the best fight he could fight. And in the fourth round, he thought he broke his hand. And he didn't say anything to me. And I was wondering why he stopped jabbing. But after the fight, when I cut the wraps off, I knew why then. His hand had blown up really, really bad. So we just assumed it was a broken hand. And, not knowing, he didn't want to say anything because he didn't want me to, make him stop later. So, Brian's a warrior. He's one of these guys that he's going to give you everything all day, 100%. And that's just the kind of guy he is. And that's what I love about him so much. But, I told him, he should have told me, he should have told me, but then we probably could have went to a different strategy. But, but he's just that kind of guy. He's just that kind of guy. But, I respect him a lot. I have so much respect for Brian. And, but Brian really and truly, he's too small to be fighting Julio Cesar Chavez. Chavez is just way too big for him. But, as you saw, Brian gave everything he could. He did everything he could possibly do to win that fight. And, whether he was going to win it or not, he still wasn't going to get a decision. We realized that. And, but he fought his heart out, and that's what I'm proud of about it.
Yeah, you mentioned the broken hand, and I wanted to get to that in a couple minutes. Brian said that he got the word about the fight was changed from 10 rounds to 12 just a few days before the fight. How did that affect Brian?
Well, it affected him a little bit because when things like that happen, you have to go to a different strategy, and that's the thing that that we had to do. But we didn't really settle the matter until Friday. The matter was settled on Friday. We found out about it Tuesday, and I refused to put him in the ring unless he was going to be compensated for a 12-round fight. And they didn't want to do it, and then when I say they, I'm talking about his own promoter, Artie Palula. He messed up. He came out and admitted it was his fault that he sent the wrong contract to Brian. They sent Brian a 10-round contract instead of the 12-round contract. And, but that's his own guy, So for 10 weeks, here we are training for a 10-round fight when, the fight is actually 12 rounds. And he admitted that it was his fault. But at the same time, I told him that Brian's manager only negotiated for a 10-round fight. He did negotiate for a 12-round fight. So how could it be a 12-round fight? And we was not going to let Brian go in that ring unless he was being compensated for a 12-round fight. And finally on Friday, because he wasn't there until Friday, we finally got it resolved. But, it all plays tricks on your mind when you have to do one thing, and then all of a sudden, you got an extra 2 rounds that you have to try to deal with. But Brian was in great shape anyway, but I just had to pull him back a little bit on certain things that we was doing from the beginning.
Yeah, strange that a accident like that could happen with a veteran in the game like Art Palula. Been in the game for so many years, and an accident like that happens. It's pretty strange.
I've seen stranger things.
Yeah. You mentioned how it plays tricks on the mind. So it is more of a mental thing than a physical thing. What would you have done differently though if you had known that it was 12 rounds instead of 10? I mean, would you have changed anything up in training?
Oh yes, I would have changed. I would have changed up a lot of things in training. I probably would have went with a slower pace. Once you get a guy going into such a fast pace, just being on top of a guy for 10 rounds, and all of a sudden, your body, that's what your body gets used to. Yeah. So I probably would have pulled him back just a little bit, in certain rounds, which I couldn't do. And, after we found out that we had to go 12, but, he was just so used to doing one thing, and, of course, the strategy changes from round to round, but still, all in all, it plays the trick on your mind that, okay, now I got to go these extra 2 rounds. So how am I handle that?
Yeah. Brian's one of those guys that he improved immensely under your watch. What kind of camp was this? Was this as good a camp as the first Chavez fight camp?
Oh, yeah. Oh, without a doubt, man. He had a great camp. Brian is a guy that comes in, he wants to learn, he works really hard. He gives you everything he got every day. And that's what I really love about him, is that, and I try to tell all the young guys that I have, just take a look at Brian. See things that he's doing. See the things that he wants to learn. And Brian also helps me with all the younger guys too. He, teaches them a lot about, some of the fights that he's been in and, a lot of mistakes that he's made in his career, that you can't take back. But he's just an all around great guy.
Yeah. And to me, and most people at ringside, Chavez looked better from the moment he entered the ring than he did for the first fight last September 28th. He looked more solid and he looked more focused and into the fight. He looked more ready for the task at hand. Did you notice that prior to the fight, in the few days prior to the fight, or did you just notice it in the ring? Did you see?
Obviously the guy was in better shape.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't. When you look at him, you didn't see him as big as he was in the first fight. But he still is a big guy. And obviously he took this fight more serious than he did the first fight. He realized, hey, I better get on my stuff on my game, otherwise Brian Vera was going to knock me out. So he obviously trained for the fight. So and that's a good thing on his part because he really needs to show that he was a better fighter than he was in the first fight.
Yeah, and then the first bell rang and they went toe to toe right off the bat. There was a lot of action-packed exchanges from the first bell going throughout, and I wanted to get into the broken hand. I wanted to ask you if Brian did mention it to you, but you already said that he didn't. He's a tough guy, and that's the kind of guy he is. But Chavez continuously found a home for that right hand. How hurt was Brian in that 7th round when he landed that right hand?
Well, he wasn't hurt. You mean the right hand that Brian got in with?
Yeah. Chavez was landing a lot of right hands throughout the fight.
Yeah, Brian just had some mental left going into the fight when he figured he couldn't jab anymore. And that's what you got to understand is that, that's one thing we worked on with Brian. That was one of his weaknesses is getting hit with the right hand. And the whole thing about it is that, if his jab would have been working, if he had the jab, like in the first fight, Chavez, he hit him with a couple of right hands, but that was about it. He couldn't really hit Brian with right hands at all. But, because Brian's jab was working so great in the first fight. But, after the 4th round, just go back and look at it, you'll see. After the 4th round, Brian's jab quit, and that was the reason they quit. But good, we took I'm sorry, I got to take this. This is our wrap. Could you hold on 1 second? Okay,
no problem.
Okay, I got 10 minutes now.
Okay. And it in the 9th round, it looked like Brian was kind of out of gas. He showed huge heart and he stayed on his feet, but he also got a point deducted from referee Rafael Ramos for pushing Chavez's head down. Did you think the point deduction was necessary?
Well, I don't think it was necessary. When you get to be in a fight like this, you have to understand that both guys are tired. It's a hard fight, and both guys are extremely tired. Chavez was doing a lot of dirty stuff also, but at the same time, Ryan is the only one that get one.
Mm-hmm.
And it really truly didn't make sense. I was really pissed off about that. I've been knowing Rafael Ramos for a very long time, and all I asked him when he came in the dressing room to give us instructions for, please just be fair. I don't care who we're fighting. I understand, that they put a lot of pressure on these referees and these judges to play for the faithful. But I just asked, I said, for once, it's all we have to be fair. We don't want nothing else from you. You know? And, of course, he said, okay, yes, I will be fair. You know?
Yeah.
But he wasn't fair.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't understand that.
And when you look at it, and I've talked to several people, because I always go back and, you know, and don't want to make it look like it's just me that I'm seeing something different than everybody else. So I asked several of my friends who was very knowledgeable in the sport of boxing, what did they think? And they all said the same thing. It was a bullshit 2-point deduction. I mean, it was a bullshit point deduction because, you know, Chavez warned Chavez so much about doing other things, you know, and he didn't do anything to Chavez, you know. He reprimanded him maybe once the whole fight. So, you know, that's hard when you gotta fight the fighter that's in front of you. You gotta fight the referee and you gotta fight the judge. You know, it's all one-sided and it's just not fair.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I wanted to ask you, I got a good eye for what's happening in the ring. I could spot some things here and there, but I don't pretend to have as good of an eye as you do. Did you notice that Brian might have hurt his hand by the way he was fighting? Because I didn't even notice a thing. I didn't notice it till after he mentioned it. Like you said, if you go back and watch, then you could pick things up. But when you're in the corner, did you notice it during the fight that he wasn't throwing?
No, I really didn't notice it. I didn't notice it because he kept trying to do what I asked him to do. Yeah. You know, at one point in the fight, I think about the 7th round, the 6th or 7th round, he came back in the corner and he was shaking his arm. So I thought maybe he hurt his arm. So when I asked him, you know, he said, no, I'm okay. But that's, you know, you got to know Brian to understand that he didn't want to tell me about the head. So, you know, I just kept telling him, man, you got to use the jab. I say, you know, when you're in the inside, I want that the uppercut. But, you know, I'm so involved in the fight, I'm not even really thinking about that. I'm just thinking about what else we could do to try to keep this big guy at bay. And so in the inside, I kept telling him, just keep shooting uppercuts at him. But if you notice, you got to go back and look at it. He was only throwing uppercuts on the right side. He did nothing on the left side.
Yeah.
When he was in close, everything, he was doubling and tripling on uppercuts. I kept telling him to throw uppercuts, but I wanted him to throw uppercuts on both sides, but he kept doing it on one side. So I should have picked it up, but I didn't, you know, and maybe that's my mistake, maybe that's my fault, but, you know, we have to take it the way it is.
Yeah, and with all that, and he got rocked again in the 11th round. The fight was a tough fight. You saw the size difference that Chavez had over him, you mentioned. Were you ever at any point, especially after the 11th round when he was rocked, did you ever come close to stopping it? Maybe saving him from himself?
I ever did what?
Did you ever come close to stopping the fight, even late after he got rocked in the 11th round?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
You know, every time he come back to the corner, I feel he got hurt. I asked him a question, you know, and he answered it right away. So I know he was okay.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about it is, I know who Brian Vera is. I know everything about him. And I told him, I tell all my fighters, if I see something in you that I feel is not right with you, I'm going to stop. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They know this. He know this. When I ask you a question, if you can't answer it, you know, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he took some good shots, but he gave some good shots. And you know, just like in the 11th round, he hit Brian with a right hand, which was perfect, good right hand. But Brian came back with about 5 or 6 punches. So that let me know right then he was okay.
Yep, I agree totally. I'm not. I don't think the fight should have been stopped either. But some people would have thought that maybe when it seemed like obviously Chavez was in control and landing so many right hands, some people might have stopped the fight. But it would have been not a good stoppage if you did. But Brian was gracious in defeat. He did acknowledge that he's tired of the games that are played and about the 12 rounds instead of 10 rounds. He's tired of that stuff, he did say. But he was gracious totally. He said that he thought it was 96-94. Do you agree with that?
I mean, it was a 12-round fight. So the 114, 113, you know, you could argue that either way. You know, I think you could argue that score either way. but the other two judges, obviously, they just vote whatever they feel is right. And, I think that the first 3 rounds, and I really thought Brown won the first 3 rounds. I didn't, Chavez might have hit him with the hardest shots, which, and still, again, like I stated before, Chavez is a much bigger guy. Of course, when you're 30 pounds heavier than somebody and you hit me, you're going to rock me harder than if I hit you because you're so much bigger than I am. And that's just the way it is. So, it is what it is, and I just think it is what it is. And, people say do what they want to, but I'm gonna stick with that.
I know you don't got much time. I know you're busy. I just wanted to get a couple more questions. And Chavez knew he escaped lucky last September. He had a lot of respect for Bryan coming into the fight. He admitted that he had to be careful in this fight when he had Bryan hurt because Bryan's a dangerous guy when he's hurt, he said. So that indicates that he acknowledged that Bryan could hurt him. So a mutual respect between the two guys. What was said between them after the fight?
Yeah, there was still a lot of respect. After the fight, Chavez was gracious. He came over, and he told Bryan it was a great fight, and Bryan said the same thing to him, and now they move on and we move on. The thing is, though, Bryan is definitely not going to ever fight again over the middleweight limit.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Unless something spectacular comes along, we get a great fight, but the compensation has to really be good, to somebody. But there's got to be somebody who we feel we can beat. It's just somebody, we don't just fight for payment. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a fight that we feel like we can win, and that's why we fought Chavez the first time and the second time. We know we beat him the first time, and I really feel in my heart that we could have beat him this time if the hand wasn't the way it was after the 4th round.
Yeah, so back down to middleweight for Bryan, and unless something big comes up, it is prize fighting. So if the prize is worth it, then I guess it'll be worth it to go back to 168 or wherever. But
it has to be a win-win situation,
No.
And this is one of our, you have to protect your own fighter, Fighters have to be protected from themselves. We don't go into a fight unless we feel that we can win it. I never put a guy in a fight for a favor. Never.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How good is Chavez when he's at his best, like he was Saturday night? I think this was the best Chavez I saw. He didn't get the Bryan that was totally healthy. He had the broken hand, and plus the rounds that he didn't know that he had to go with the extra 2 rounds. How good was this Chavez, though?
Look, he was better than last time. Put it that way. He was better than last time. And I really don't know if that was the best Chavez that we've ever seen. I don't know. Yeah. I've seen Chavez look a lot better, but sometimes it's the guy that's in front of you who makes you look bad. Mm. And I think Bryan's style complements, don't go well for Chavez because you got a guy who can take a good shot and also give a good shot. So, and I don't think Chavez has met anyone like Bryan ever before. So, it was a give and take. But, if you go back and you look at Chavez against Sergio Martinez, that wasn't the Chavez that we all knew. He sit back and waited, and he came on too late. He should have won. He should have won that fight. But hindsight is 20/20. So, that just lets you know how good Vera is. And Chavez, to me, I've seen him in other fights that he's done great, and he looked really good. Such as the Andy Lee fight. Mm-hmm. He really looked great in that fight. He looked unstoppable in that fight. But again, I think the style makes the fight.
Yeah, and if he continues to stay motivated, Bob Arum's talking about putting him in with Andre Ward or Gennady Golovkin. I know you love your boxers, and I know you'd favor Andre Ward over him. But how do you think he would do against Triple G if that match was made?
Well, you know what? I think that'll be a good and take fight because Triple G is no boxer. Triple G will stand right in front of him and bang with him. Mm-hmm. And I think I don't know, man. Triple G is a huge puncher, but Chavez has a great chin, and Chavez, he's not, as Brian said to me that Chavez is not a big puncher. He's not. He's a big guy, but his weight doesn't. He doesn't carry the power with the weight. So, I don't know if he'll get a hurt for Virginia, and that may be trouble for Chavez. But again, it's just styles. Chavez needs somebody that's going to stand right in front of him, and Triple G is going to do that. But at the same time, I don't know if he's ever been hit by someone like Triple G. I know they sparred together, but you really can't call it sparring because I saw the tapes of the guy. Both guys sparring with each other, and it just didn't look. They were just playing around with each other. Nobody tried to do anything to the other. But with 10-ounce gloves on, hey, we all think what Triple G can do.
Yeah. You are a Texan, and the Texas Boxing Commission was under a lot of scrutiny on HBO, and since the fight, deservedly so, I think, too. Controversy showed in both fights that were televised on Saturday night. The point deducted against Bryan for pushing Chavez's head down, and in the first fight, Orlando Salido repeatedly hit Vasyl Lomachenko and never got a point deducted. He never got warned by Lawrence Cole, nothing. And Lawrence Cole's one of those guys that takes most of the brunt of the scrutiny that's put on the Texas Commission. What do you think can be done? Being a Texan yourself, you gotta care more than the most people in the sport. What could be done in Texas to fix the problem?
Well, I don't think the problem is just in Texas. Obviously, the problem is in California also with the bad judging. I think what happens is that they need to quiz their judges a lot more. They need to quiz their referees a lot more. They need to take them and let them at least officiate in the gym with amateur fighters, not professional fighters, because they in turn may have to work a corner with a professional fighter. I think if they was really smart, they would all commissions, not just Texas or California. I think they should, let them practice, just like we all practice. If we train. How does a referee train? How does a judge train? Basically, they don't train. They show up to a fight and they do the best job they feel they possibly can do. But there's certain things you have to look for, and you only see that in the ring. So the more practice these guys get, as far as judging, knowing what to look for, how to do it, and the commission needs to have go to an amateur gym and say, look, okay, here's your test. We're going to put you and have two guys that's sparring, make them judge, make them referee that, and and show them the mistakes that they're making, because it really doesn't make sense. How can a fighter prepare himself for a hard 10, 12 weeks, but the referee and the judge don't prepare themselves? It's something that the commission have to start doing.